What were you being protected from?
Baby oil. So
Baby oil.
My way, my style. It's the Archie effect. The Archie effect. My way, my style.
They say anger is like holding a hot coal and expecting someone else to get burned. But sometimes the coal deserves it. Anger is really interesting because at one point you're mad at your ex, and then the next you're yelling at your Wi-Fi router like it personally betrayed you. But in all honesty, beneath it all, I think there's some unprocessed pain. And today we're holding space for it because it could be that, or it could just be low blood sugar. Today we're digging into the fiery side of anger. He's a vibe curator. He's an artist. He's a DJ. Brian Henry is in the house.
what's up, Archie?
How are you?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
Great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
I'm on your show.
No, before we get started and to set the tone, on a scale of 1 to 10,
Mm-hmm.
how happy are you today?
Today, I'm like a 6.57. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When's the last time you were at a 10?
Ooh, I'm on 10 at least a few times a week when I'm behind the decks. So
Okay. When you're in the zone at work
when I'm in
and
the
all
zone, I'm on 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm on 10 pretty frequently. But today's a little gloomy outside, so there's nothing wrong internally. Just more so like
you need the sunlight to get your vibes high.
Exactly. I want the sun shining. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's why I live in LA, for the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long you been here?
Ooh, long time, man.
From where?
Originally from Baltimore,
Yeah.
Baltimore, Maryland. Went to school down Morehouse. I'm a Morehouse man.
Mm.
Made my way up to New York for a little bit, and then came out to LA, and I love it. It's
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I received that. Same. Now, I don't get angry much, but I've definitely had my fair share.
Okay.
And so I think that when we talk about the 7 stages of grief, it's very important to hold space for anger. As I've mentioned, this season, there's been a lot of things that I have experienced, seen, gone through that I'm attributing to grieving, right? Job losses, come and gone. Ideas I have for myself, come and gone. Relationships, heartache, come and gone. And so like processing those and attributing them to like, okay, I went through the shock, I'm going through the anger, all these different stages to make my way through, I feel like is really important. But anger can be a good and a bad thing.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you can learn things about yourself. It is a way to express. Too much anger can get a little volatile. But I am curious to know from your perspective, how do you personally relate to anger?
Anger. I mean, when I think about anger, I think most times of it always as a choice.
Yeah.
I think we're able to choose our response to, what they say is not what happens to you, it's the response you choose to it. 10% is what happens, and the other 90% is how I choose to respond. So immediately what comes to mind is like, I always have the option and the access to a range of emotions. And if by the time I'm angered or allow myself to be angered, it's bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying? Because I know there's so many other choices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what immediately comes to mind when I think about anger.
Have you ever been able to use it as a creative catalyst?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Really? Oh.
In the sense of like, I've been angered when there's opportunities that I may have wanted and didn't receive. But even that's a little ego in there. You know what I mean? So I think anger could be ego driven, which isn't always the best. There's also anger that comes from like injustices, which can spark action that leads to greater equality.
Yeah.
So, anger can be a positive or a negative force. It depends on what's behind it.
Yeah.
And then subsequently that leads to your intention and what you do with it.
I know you say you've been here for a minute. I was here during, the 2020 of it all and things like that. Were you out there like activating and protesting as well?
Funny enough, combination of the main day when everything was happening, what I'm saying? When our brother Kendrick Sampson was out there, on the front lines, I was actually at home on a Zoom doing some work for breast cancer awareness and breast cancer prevention. And it's crazy because I got off this Zoom and I had like 5 calls from people. They were like, do not go outside. Do not. I'm like, what do you mean don't go outside? And I turn on TV and I see what's happening, And so I wasn't out there in the thick of it in that moment. But later on, definitely out there, when it was less volatile, you know what I mean? Because I think anger at that moment it'd have been crazy.
Yeah. It was a wild time. Anger can often feel like an explosion, something deeper is at the root. Is there a moment when you realize that, your anger was masking another emotion?
That's a great question.
Because I also think like as men, and then you loop, your environment and like races, like race into it. We show up in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
and so sometimes we're not necessarily like, okay, I'm actually sad,
Yeah.
but it's coming out a bit brash.
I think the times that, sometimes when anger has come up me and it's masking another emotion, that other emotion is fear. I think about the transition when I left corporate America to becoming a vibe curator and DJ. I was angry, just angry all the time. I'm showing up to this place of employment, spending anywhere from 10 to 12 hours of my day doing something that I didn't particularly love, doing something that, was more or less making me miserable.
Yeah.
And so I can be angry at my boss at the time, and some of the directives I was receiving at the time were just nonsensical. It just didn't make sense. A VP would be emailing me about something. I tell a manager on the side, and she'd be like, "Well, you didn't CC me on." I'm like, "But I'm calling you and telling you about it right now." Think little micromanaging things like that will make me angry.
Yeah.
But what I had to realize underneath that, it's a choice for me to be here. So am I angry at how she's doing the job within this corporate sector, or am I angry at myself because I'm choosing to be here? And I realized underneath that was a fear. I'm afraid of going into the world at that particular moment and pursuing the dreams that I've had because I'm concerned about income, because I'm concerned about livelihood, because I'm concerned about like, what if I fall on my face and make a fool of myself? You know what I mean? But that was driving the anger. You know what I mean? Anger and how I showed up not only at work, but in my personal life and relationships and everything else. But truly was something that I just wasn't stepping up to the plate for. You know what I mean?
Now, what were you doing in corporate America?
Hate my life.
Okay.
No, I was in a marketing role, in sponsorships role. And even before that, I was in investment banking. And that's something that most people don't even realize.
So you're good with numbers?
I was an economics major in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And although you may do something well, that doesn't mean that's what you're called to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I always had this passion for music and didn't know exactly what to do with it. But I realized that if I was in this position out of fear to have a livelihood, so I'm making this consistent check, then imagine if I honored myself and honored the gifts that God has given me and moved from a place of love.
Yeah.
And so when I shifted that underlying fear into love, then I was able to step out on faith and do what people are aware of me doing today.
Yeah. Congratulations. It's working.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. We touched on it briefly, the good and the bad sides of the anger. How do you distinguish between the two? Like, when one is like healthy and one is just like a wrath. Like, what's the line?
I think the line is if I'm angry in terms of how something is going on in the world or how others are treated, you know what I'm saying? That's always kind of the line for me. Whereas if I'm angry because someone didn't get something together on my rider, it's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? That's a choice on how I can respond. I can have compassion in a moment and say, you know what, this person was just rushing. You know what I'm saying? Or if there's an injustice and someone is being poorly treated, then that's just anger in a different capacity in which I can stand up and advocate for said person. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of the line. Most times when it has something to do with someone else, that's when I think that anger can be used towards some positive change. Yeah. Yeah.
What's on your rider?
A bunch of red gummy bears.
Wait, red specifically? No. You want somebody to be handpicked?
No, it's not even the hospitality stuff. It could be equipment. Oftentimes people don't read. And my rider is, from an equipment standpoint, it's just one page. It's not even this multi-page type of situation. But oftentimes people just will overlook some key elements of equipment that may be needed for the performance. And then they'll justify like, oh, you can just do it this way and just do it that way. And I'm like, well, if it could just be done this way and done that way, you be doing it. But since I'm performing, we need tools in place that ensure that we maximize the vibrancy of this performance. And that's why we ask for it, not to just be difficult. And the equipment is pretty standard, but again, yeah, sometimes folks just don't read.
Got the ball.
Yeah.
What was that? Do you remember the first time to where your loved ones close to you saw you like in the element on the ones and the twos?
I think the first time I was booked on a show called Master the Mix, a VH1 show. It was a DJ battle reality show and competition. And I had been at that time DJing for about 2 years. And so it was still relatively new. And I was one of the most junior people on the show. I got voted off probably like the third DJ or something. which made sense to just where I was in my career. But since it was such a national spotlight and opportunity, that's the first time a lot of my friends and family got to like, oh no, he's really taking this seriously. How did he go from quitting corporate and now a year and a half, 2 years later, he's on national television? So at that point, and it's funny because I was disappointed in my performance and disappointed that I didn't advance in the trajectory of the show. But for everyone else who are my friends and family who love me, they were so excited. And that was like the launch for them. Like, oh, yeah, he's doing this. So this is going to go somewhere. You know what I mean?
Take me through, like, what's the process, right? Because, you know, artists in the studio dropping the beats, like, they go maybe in the studio late at night and they burn a candle and they have their process. Like, what is the process for you to curate the vibe later down the line? Like, are you in your room in the dark? Just like, what does it look like?
It varies, but it is a process of by myself for sure. You know what I'm saying? I've had friends sometimes who want to come over and like, yeah, we're just gonna be in the mix and just da 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 da. You know what I mean? I need to be by myself, and I really, you know, my breadth of music that I appreciate is vast. All of it, the 90% of it comes from diaspora. And the way I look at music is like a full body massage. You know, if you go to a masseuse, and they just, you know,
Took me back for a second.
Hold up.
Okay,
see,
wow.
That full body massage ain't gonna make you angry.
No, it won't.
But no, like if you go to a masseuse and they just do your left shoulder, that's like going to a club and only hearing trap.
Right.
You be like, well, what about the rest of my body? And so for me, I want to play music from across the diaspora that speaks to every part of your body. Your right hip might be some soca, your left hip might be some bashment, your left foot might be some hyphy, your right foot might be some Baltimore club. And so playing music from different regions within our diaspora really speaks to the vastness of how we show up as Black people. But then even beyond that, it drives a sense of nostalgia, a sense of welcome, and it really allows everybody just to be just a lot of great energy on the floor, you know what I mean? And so I'll sit in my lab and pull from as many sounds as possible to make sure that I'm curating an experience that feels like a full body massage. Yeah.
What's the goal?
To touch, move, and inspire people with music. You know, we walk around with so much stress that we are unaware of, you know? And music is, in a sense, is like an involuntary way to relieve stress because if you are present in your body, you feel pushed and led to move your body.
Right.
You know, and so I give a lot of energy because I want you to feel the energy that's within your body and to release it. Release the negative energy and embrace the more positive aspects of how we're able to show up. So that's the goal. I like to make booties clap.
You like to make booties clap?
Booties clap, backs break, feet move.
Yeah.
Like my goal is to really get you, you know, present to yourself, present to all of these chakras, and to shake out the things that might be stuck, that may be blocking you from being present to your own self.
Yeah.
And to me, that's why music is that universal language, because, you know, we don't have to know each other, but we lock eyes on the dance floor, or we're both in sync when it comes down to a song that we like, that we've never heard this way.
Yeah.
You know, we become present.
Now, are you like physically making booties clap? Like, are you dating?
I guess I walked into that. I would like to date. Yes.
You're not dating. You would like to.
I would like to. Yeah. I'm not currently dating.
Have you been in love before?
Oh, I've definitely been in love before.
What does that feel like?
It's all encompassing, enveloping. It can feel like the best experience. You know, love is a drug. It's like stronger than cocaine. You know what I mean?
Never been in.
You never been in love?
Never had that drug, dear.
You never had that?
Mm-mm.
Well, we got to change that. we got to find. Hey, if you watching the Archie, he's available. No, but yeah, I've certainly been in love. And the beautiful thing about being in love is that being in love and then falling out of love is that in the process of dating, I've been able to easily understand and perceive and receive when someone isn't in love. When you aren't in love with yourself, you know what I'm saying? And if you aren't in love with yourself, it's so hard to allow yourself to be in love with someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I think I'm too in love with myself.
You too in love?
Yeah. Is there such a thing?
I don't think so. I mean, but what do you define as love?
Just like affirmation, the quality time, the like nurturing, the like one-on-one time, the like self-reflection, the journaling. I spoke in the mirror today over myself because I had to start the day. You know, all those things, you know, spiritual connection.
Luther said never too much. How is that too much?
You know, not exactly.
That sounds incredible to me.
I think it's not enough. I need to take it up.
I think you're on the path.
I'm on the path.
Yeah.
You're open to it. Like, what do you like? Like, what are you looking for?
Integrity, honesty, just being, and integrity means there's alignment between your thoughts, your words, and your deeds and or actions. You know what I mean? In the sense that, like, if I think it, I say it. I express it. If I say it, I do it. Yeah. And I think oftentimes a lot of us are challenged in our relationship with word. And we're human. We're all falls slightly short of our word from time to time. But in the moments we do, we have the opportunity to update our word. Like, I was late coming here, y'all. I get to
37 minutes late.
Hey, I said I was going to be 10 initially.
You did.
Then I get the update and say, hey, I'm actually this time.
No, you did the update when I said, where are you?
I updated. But no, that's a good example when I in this moment of being, but then not being in alignment with your word. You know what I mean? And oftentimes we're concerned about disappointing others, and so we won't share our truth. You know what I'm saying? Yet being in harmony with someone else and in terms of relationships requires us to be in harmony with ourselves and our ability to be able to be truthful and honest with ourselves. And then we get the opportunity to have a space with someone else. You know what I'm saying? So that's the number one thing. Like, just being forthright.
Hey friend, I hope you're enjoying this episode, but I want you to discover a workplace where connection and creativity thrive. Soho Works is a global community for entrepreneurs, creators, and innovators who value collaboration as much as productivity. With beautifully designed spaces, intentional amenities, and access to an inspiring network of like-minded individuals. Soho Works is your home for ideas and growth, created for Soho House members and those who share our vision. This is where work meets community. Join us and elevate the way you work. Learn more at sohohouse.com.
Who do you talk to, like, mostly in your daily life? Like, who do you talk to the most?
Who do I talk to the most? I do my best to talk to God the most. That's for real.
On the main line.
Because and there's so many different tools, spiritual tools in which I connect with God, whether it be chanting, meditating, prayer.
Nam Yeho Renge Kyo.
Nam Yeho Renge Kyo, Nam Yeho Renge Kyo, Nam Yeho Renge Kyo.
Yes, Tina Turner told me that one.
That's how I learned too. Initially, it's called shakabuku when you get introduced to the practice.
Yeah.
But there's chanting, meditation. I recently had an ayahuasca experience. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways in which you can align with God. You know what I mean? And then after God it's my friends. I have the most amazing friends in the world.
Pick one.
Pick one.
Who do you talk to the most?
I can't pick
everybody
one.
Equally?
I can't. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm equal with my friends.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I got a lot of best friends.
A lot of them? How many?
A lot.
A lot?
Like
you can't even say a number because you'll be in trouble.
Savage say, how many friends you got? A lot.
Oh my gosh.
Who you talk to the most?
Who do I talk to the most? Probably my best friend Derek or my sister.
Word.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah. God as well. But yeah, like physically here.
I saw you in a photo with your family, your sister. Your family is beautiful. Yeah, y'all look like y'all was ready to be on the cast of a reality show.
Can I talk about it?
Sure.
Because you know what?
No, y'all were decked out, and I don't know if it was a Christmas picture or a holiday picture.
It was holiday, yes. I was wearing Charles Harbison. I was wearing Charles Harbison. Shout out to him. So, and I don't know what year it was, like 2019, 2018 or whatever. I was like, I want a Christmas card, because I saw the people do it. I see the Kardashians do it all the time. And I was like, we need to do this. And so at first it was like pulling teeth because my family don't really care about the glam of it all like I do. And so, but now the one that you saw, everybody's into it. Like as the years have gone by, they're like, what we wearing? Because I pick out everything. Yes.
So you're the creative director for your family.
The shoot, the photographer, the clothes, the hair, the makeup. You cannot have that kind of hair. Change it.
For real?
Yeah. And I love my family because they listen to me.
It took you a while to raise them up to their care at the same level as you.
No, it didn't take them a while. They were into it. They gave into it, but they were just like, they gave me 10 minutes. You know, they was like, yeah, he's so extra, and now it's like, you know, we in there.
But they probably getting a lot of feedback too. So now they become.
They like a little gas too. Okay. So they gonna like that you said that.
Well, yeah, it's incredible.
Shout out to my mom, my sister, and my dad.
I like family.
I do too.
All the face cards.
You want kids?
That look good. I absolutely want kids.
Okay. How many?
At least 2.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I've learned I learned this during the pandemic, actually. I used to think that generational trauma was like your mama and daddy beat your ass, so now you beating your kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? Type. That's what I used to think it was. But what I've learned is that, you know, whatever we didn't resolve, by the time we have children, we pass those, whatever we didn't resolve, like spiritually or emotionally, we pass those things on to our children. And my parents had me really young. They were 18. Their parents had them really young. And I'm grateful to be at an older place now that I've had the opportunity to do a lot of spiritual work, a lot of healing. And so I'm really excited to, you know, pass on a more healed bloodline, because to see my future son, because I want a son, putting it out to the universe, to be able to navigate the world without some of the emotional challenges that I had to navigate. I think that'd be just really powerful to, you know, birth a very empowered young Black man into the world. I'm excited.
Yeah,
for that, for sure.
Raising him in Cali.
We gonna see.
We're gonna see.
I mean, I love
Who knows
Cali.
where the world is going?
Oh, who knows where I'm gonna be? We gonna see.
What do you think, though, in terms of anger, like, what do you think anger is trying to teach us when it shows up in moments of loss or rejection?
Ooh, when loss or rejection. What type of loss?
I mean, as I kind of set the tone, it's like a big job role, right? Loss. Okay. Or we can talk about your grandma did pass.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think those that's why I asked, because those are 2 different things. Again, there's been opportunities that I wanted in my career that quote unquote lost out on, and I've been angry about them. And what I learned is that what's for you will never miss you. You know what I mean? You're angry, but sometimes sometimes the things I didn't get, I was being protected from. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go into that. But sometimes when things don't happen, you're being protected. Or you want them for the...
What was so funny? What were you being protected from?
Baby oil. So
baby oil?
Just some, you know, you want opportunities that, you know what, that wasn't for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you weren't meant to be in this environment playing for these people for whatever reason. You know what I mean?
The man in jail?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh.
But or in other instances, you know, there are opportunities that didn't come through because as much I may have wanted them, I wasn't ready.
Right.
I didn't. There's so many of us that have the talent and the skill, the look, the ability, the charm, the charisma, all the things that push you forward in Hollywood, but your heart space isn't in the right place. Mm-hmm. You know, there's been moments when my heart space just wasn't in the right place, and so maybe I wanted it for the right reason. Mm-hmm. Or I've most recently learned that sometimes my ambition gets in the way of my calling. That sometimes I have the opportunity to just set this ambition to the side and just serve, just be of service, with your gifts. And when you are of service with your gift, you know, everything conspires for your favor because you focus on creating value for other people. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're angry because I didn't get something because I really wanted it, because I thought I should be like that's the wrong intention, you know? Whereas on the other side of anger, from a grief standpoint, I understand that all too well. You know, we lost my mother, Tracy, when I was a senior in high school, you know, to breast cancer. Damn. And so going into college, I was very angry because I hadn't resolved the, you know, understandable emotions of sudden loss. And I'm walking into this next chapter of life, and I had my mom's blessing to attend Morehouse in December of senior year of high school, but by March she was no longer with us. And you know, those things are devastating in life, and so it's understandable that you would be angry. Yet even in that, I've had to learn to take the lessons that my mom has given me and convert the anger of her no longer being here into something that's positive. That's one of the reasons I DJ. Yeah. You know, because I'm here to live a life of passion and purpose and honor those who've become before me. You know.
Yeah. How long were you in anger when it came to your mom passed?
And that's a beautiful question because I think it oscillates.
Yeah,
it doesn't. I'm in an amazing place at this chapter, but some years there was like, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe denial,
Mm-hmm.
that stage of grief.
Mm-hmm.
To other years, it was anger, and I think it's emotions, energy,
Mm-hmm.
emotion. It flows.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
How does today, like, what moments do you see your mom show up?
I see it when I'm with my family the most, actually. And they often tell me, they tell me, you just like your mother. I'm from Baltimore, so we don't say mom, we say mother. Your mother, your father do too. Everybody be like, well, you don't have a strong Baltimore accent like everybody.
Yes, y'all do have
I'm
the
like,
you too.
because my mother, she was so big on vernacular and pronunciation, enunciation.
Yeah.
She didn't beat it out of me, but she lectured it out of me.
She let you know.
But I see it a lot because I'm a motivator.
Yeah.
I motivate my tribe. I motivate my friends. I motivate my family, and that's definitely a strong characteristic that I got from my mom.
That's what's up.
For sure.
Brian, it's time for the uncomfortable question of the day.
Okay.
Would you rather be married to someone who is ugly and nice or hot and mean?
Run it by me one more time. What?
Would you rather be married to somebody who is ugly and nice or hot and mean?
Ugly and nice, because beauty is only skin deep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
Period.
basically.
Yeah.
What's the point of all this beauty if you an asshole?
Right.
What
Yeah.
we gonna do with that?
Mm-hmm.
Can't take you nowhere.
Yeah. What do you learn about yourself as you continuously travel?
That I'm good on any MLK Boulevard.
I said that the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
No, I say that because I've learned that when you go into environments where you're foreign,
Right.
you know what I mean? There's just a level of deference and respect that you walk into with, and you give respect to men, you give love to women, not too much love because you know who God that is, But
Consent.
I think when you go into environments and you're willing to give and not just receive or not just take, it just provides a more robust experience everywhere I go in the world, And from the musical standpoint, I study. If I play in South Africa, if I play in Bahia, Brazil, I'm studying the culture, I'm studying the music before I get there. But even before I perform a set, I'm going to different environments and listening to the music to make sure that I'm respecting the culture in the area that I'm stepping into versus just like, I'm coming here and do my thing.
Right.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. How many continents have you been to? Do you know?
I've been to all of the continents except Antarctica, and I will be going to Antarctica in the next few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. All denim or all black?
Ooh. Dinner for the day, black for the night.
Oh, a wardrobe change.
Absolutely.
I'm obsessed. I do want to talk about this really quick. What are healthy ways, from your perspective, to release anger, especially when you feel like it's bubbling over?
Yoga, meditation, exercise. I box.
A what?
I box.
Oh,
I go
okay,
boxing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I boxed yesterday. I boxed the day before. Sometimes when I'm angry, I'm pissed off, so I'm hitting that bag. Goes a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, the things I'm angry about,
It'd be
I
like
don't want
this
to. I don't
big.
want to diminish I think we shouldn't diminish the things that frustrate us. You know what I'm saying? I just say this, that if something is frustrating me to the point of anger, it's showing me that I need to make a different choice,
Right.
a different decision
Right.
about something I am doing or allowing in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because again, it's so easy to point the finger of everyone else, but responsibility simply means able to choose a response. I'm able to choose a response to whatever's going on or whatever I'm doing or whatever I'm allowing. So rather than allowing myself to get angry, won't I choose a different path?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I recently was feeling moments of frustration and anger, and I didn't like how it was like touching me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I want to hold on to this and I want to be cognitive so I don't feel this way again and experience it in a different capacity.
Yeah. What was making you angry?
People. Yeah. People really, really get on my nerves.
People be peopling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I be wanting them to go away.
So in that case, do you choose to do they go away or do you go away?
I will exit the premises.
There you go.
I will leave.
Yeah.
But then I'm deemed to be like, oh, well, all you do is run away.
But you at peace.
I just gotta keep me. I gotta put me first, Lucius.
You're supposed to love me.
You're supposed to love me. Wow. A little birdie had told me
What they say? They lying.
that that you had went on a naked hike. What was that like?
Damn, people all in my business. Freeing, grounding. I imagine that that's how the ancestors would move about the world. You know what I mean? I'm into nature. You know what I'm saying? I'm into nature because there's no rivalry in nature. There's no like, why you growing this way or why you looking this way or I think do this and that. It's like everything in nature just exists. And, you know, being nude or being naked is you in your purest form. You get to be present to the fullness of how God created you and how you exist. So the combination of being on a hike, a combination of being nude, go hand in hand. You know what I mean? Just to ground yourself and just to be present.
Yeah.
So why people all in my business like that?
Listen.
But one thing about me, let me tell you something. You ask me something, I'm going to own it.
So you like being naked?
Yeah.
I've had to grow to that.
Why?
Because I've had body dysmorphia since I was like 2.
I think that's what Eurocentric
Systemic oppression
has created a level of shame over black bodies. You know what I mean? I think and think that factors a lot into anything that you or many others may feel surrounding being nude. For sure. Yeah.
That's interesting. Brian, you want to play a game?
We already playing the game. Is Brian gonna answer the question game?
What? You've answered every question. Are you nervous?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm not nervous. But you know, I'm gonna say this. You know, I've seen you a few times, many times, in life as you're normally working, because you know it's at an event and you're curating the vibes, and you have this or have had a slight glimmer of a wall. What is that?
I thought you never asked. No, I am in those moments here to curate a vibe to lift us up. You know what I mean? I work in adult playground where people are drunk and they're high off of all the things.
Yeah.
And because it's late, what tends to happen is that a lot of lust is thrown my way. And I don't do so well with that. You know what I mean? I was so naive for years thinking like, oh, people just come out to dance. We just having a good time. For me, I'm coming to celebrate my friend, my birthday.
Yeah.
I dance. So if I'm not DJing, I'm on the floor having a good time. You know what I mean? Yet in nightlife experiences, there's a lot of lustful energy. And so that wall comes up because it's like, I'm not here for that. You know what I mean? And on that, this is my place of work. It's like someone throwing themselves at you or someone giving you the whatever that.
Ooh, is that how they do?
Some bullshit, right? Giving you that in the middle of I'm working to get this transition and I'm looking at the audience and I'm So I've heard that before for sure. There's definitely been a bit of a wall, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm just working to show up in love and love is a higher vibration than lust.
Yeah. I respect that. I think it's really interesting too because you've spoke about yourself of really there's a worldly aspect when you speak about liking the nature and everything. There's also the deep spiritual connection, but I also think since you just named like working in this nightlife environment, right? We've seen time and time again, the Lindsay Lohan's, like people lose themselves being in that space and totality all the time. And so I think it's really important and so key that like, there's an equal balance and maybe more of this than that in order for you to stay a centered nucleus.
It's like staying grounded, but also staying grounded, but also lifting us up.
Yeah.
And I like myself to like being the pilot. You know, imagine if you got on, what's your favorite airline? Or
Me?
What's your preferred airline?
Private.
No, that's right. If you get on your private aircraft and the pilot is drunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or the pilot is high off XYZ substances. There's never a point of judgment, but I am the pilot in this moment. My goal is to raise our vibration and safely land the plane.
Yeah.
I turn down 7-8 drinks before I find like, all right, I'll have one. You know what I mean?
Right.
People come with me with all types of substances they're offering, like, nah. You know what I mean? Because I want I want to lift our vibration with this music, and music for me truly in that moment is enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that explains a lot of why that walk, because people never understand it from the other angle. They lit, so they think you need to be lit too. And I'm like, nah.
Working, babes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, back to the game. Let's play Perfect Pitch. You ready?
Let's do it.
Now, if you could collaborate with anyone on a project, what would it be? Who would it be? And what would the project be? And you are going to have 30 seconds, okay? And you're going to look at your camera over there.
Sure.
And you're going to make the pitch. Are you ready?
I got a pitch.
Yes, it's called Perfect Pitch.
I'm pitching to the person that I want to work with.
Yes, what the project is, yes. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
All right. You know, we're gonna raise our brother from the deceased, and I'm pitching a project to the late great Quincy Jones. You are a genius of music. You've inspired the masses. So many things that you've been able to create have touched, moved, and inspired the culture. And the project that I would have us work on is something that would allow music to change and turn the tide of what's going on in Palestine right now. From your work and, with Heal the World and all the fun ways to,
Your time.
Oh, I'm at time?
Yes.
Oh, listen, I'm ready to pitch.
Pitch, like elevator pitch. But I like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we can make it happen, though.
I know, man. Listen, I was so heartbroken when Quincy passed. Like,
Did you ever meet?
I met him twice.
Okay.
And just everything that they say about him is undeniably absolutely true. He's such a kind, warm, gentle spirit. And he just had his hands on so many of the careers that we've seen in Hollywood, particularly, within Black cultures, cinema, media, music, film, all those things. I cried like a baby that night. We were leaving the Catronata concert, and we just had such a great time.
Right.
And got to the crib and learned that news, and just like devastated. You know what I mean?
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Quincy.
What mantra or affirmation kept you grounded during tough times?
Nothing and no one can hurt me without my permission. Nothing and no one can hurt me without my permission. Yeah, that always keeps me grounded.
Yeah. And what's your assignment here on this planet?
My assignment here on this planet is to, I believe, be a walking reflection of what's capable if you align yourself with your gifts.
And I know we were holding space for anger today, but I do want to speak to if anyone is like going through that or dealing with that, if someone is stuck in anger, unable to go through it, what advice would you give them to start moving through that and unpacking what's underneath?
Start speaking about it. Open your mouth in the sense of, the old age adage, closed mouths don't get fed. But it's more so like oftentimes we don't know what someone else is going through. You know what I mean? I like to think that we need to be kind to everyone just as a base level, but we particularly need to be kind because we don't know what someone else is going through. It's so easy to take slight or offense to whatever's going on, but you don't know what someone else is going through. And so for those who are going through it, please talk about it. Please reach out to anyone that you know.
Oh. How you doing? Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This